What the hell is that? AI's nuclear nightmare. Florida is suing for mutilating kids, and the Montauk Project. You remember that? If you're as old as me, you remember that. Uh, and not necessarily in a good way. So we got all that coming up. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Halfway through the week. We are here. We're live on Rumble and X. And you can watch the show also on video delay on YouTube, the Jay Sheldon Show channel. Check us out over there. Give us a subscribe. And let's see, we've got sound over here. We got sound over there. Why is all of our sounds all up? It shouldn't be. Anyway, we're here. Oh, man. This is the most, I swear to God, this day has been weird. Weird at best. Wednesday already. Indeed, Danny, it is hump day. And good morning, Marilyn. Be blessed. We are blessed because you're here, and Danny's here, and the rest of the gang is all here. And thank you for doing that. Subscribe, like, comment. All those things gives us a little bit of attention, and we need that so other people can find out about the show. All right. Now, by the way, I've got some new soundproofing materials coming in, which should help a little bit with that echo problem. So we'll see what happens once it comes. It should be here in the next few days, actually. I hope. All right. Well, let's get right into it, shall we? If you are a little, what do they say, long in the tooth, like me, you probably remember a certain movie with Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy. It was called War Games. Great movie, by the way. I would love to watch that again. I should look for it. Two teenagers hack into a Pentagon computer and just about end the world with global nuclear war. It's a great film, and it was intended as a kind of a cautionary tale about computerizing weapons systems. Well, welcome to War Games. The people who made that film really didn't know anything about artificial intelligence. It didn't exist back then. China is now moving towards increasing artificial intelligence control over their fast-growing nuclear arsenal. And that ought to concern the hell out of you. In May of last year, China rejected American proposals to limit the use of AI to control the launch of nuclear weapons. President Biden raised this issue with Xi Jinping in California the preceding November, announced that AI was one of the areas the two countries would hold further discussions about. Beijing's very quick, adamant rejection of the whole American initiative, which occurred during talks in Geneva, was a signal that China's regime had put itself on an exceedingly dangerous course. Our position has been very clear for a long time. Tarun Chhabra, Director of Technology at the National Security Council, said, "We don't think autonomous systems should be getting anywhere near a decision to launch a nuclear weapon. Duh. That's long-stated U.S. policy. We think all countries," she said, "around the world should sign up to that." And she also said, "We think that makes a lot of sense to do." We can all think but China doesn't give two hoots what we think. That's the bottom line. They couldn't possibly care less. They've already rejected any calls to keep their nuclear arsenal completely in human hands. Part of their reasoning is that a long-standing nuclear tactic takes the form of what is called a decapitation strike. First round of weapons aimed at destroying the enemy's national leadership, military leadership, every bit of command and control centers. And an AI backup control would allow a retaliatory strike even if the decapitation strike was remarkably successful. It's kind of like, think of it as one last screw you from a nation that already has been nuked into oblivion. They fire at us, completely wipe out all these things. We're pretty much done, but AI takes over and launches against them. We're already dead in the water, literally and figuratively. And yet we've got one last little thing when AI goes bloop and pushes the button. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, recognized the future of AI in warfare. This idea of handing even partial control of a nuclear arsenal to an AI bot, this very well may be the most dangerous of all. Brandon Weichert, author of Winning Space, How America Remains a Superpower, wrote in June, China is taking its nuclear arsenal to the next level by, among other things, marrying nuclear-tipped missiles to powerful artificial intelligence capabilities. AI-controlled nukes would be far more devastating than your ordinary ones. The Chinese have been behaving foolishly, though, because the chance for unintended consequences is high. Frankly, AI could easily lead to an absolute nightmare scenario where China loses control of its nuclear weapons arsenal to a rabid artificial intelligence system. Can you imagine? Now, here's the thing. China is growing desperate to take any advantage over the resurgence of the U.S. that they can, militarily, economically, and they are betting big on AI to help them. We're doing the same thing. It is not just a matter of military, economic matters. China, in 2 or 3 more generations, may no longer exist as a nation state. You know why? They ain't having babies. The Chinese people are not reproducing. Their birth rate has plummeted far below the replacement rate. Ew. Partly because of the idiotic one-child policy that was in place for so many years. We are, let's call it fortunate indeed, that when the Soviet Union fell, none of the outgoing Soviet leaders decided to take the world down with them, launch a nuclear strike. Thank God for that. Will we be so lucky a second time? Or will China's possibly AI-controlled nukes see the collapse of the Chinese Communist government as an existential threat? Initiate a first strike? They're doing it to themselves, but we don't know how AI might interpret that. What about the other nuclear nations around the world? North Korea, there's a great example. They've got nukes. They've got missiles that can reach at least Japan and Taiwan and the Philippines. Pretty much all nations that are friendly to the U.S. North Korea's demographic crisis makes China's look like small potatoes. And let's not forget India and Pakistan. Oh yeah, 2 nuclear nations with a very, very long history of playing snap and slash along their shared border. This could wind up being an absolute nightmare. Now, none of those nations I just mentioned have anywhere close to developing an AI system as powerful as China or us. But don't rule them out as having that capacity in the next few years, especially India. A lot of brains in India. In fact, we import a bunch of them to work on our computer systems. And do not underestimate the danger of desperate men who have nuclear weapons. AI may well be a tool that China can leverage to make their military more efficient, especially when it comes to the nuclear arsenal. It will, as we noted, allow for a response even if the leadership in China is turned into radioactive dust. It won't matter. AI will take over and will still fire. China's preparing for war against the U.S. That's silly obvious. and we had better be preparing for war with them. Not to start war, but being prepared for war. Bear this in mind always. A global nuclear World War III would not be like the previous two world wars. World War III will be over in what could very well be a matter of hours. And with it will go our entire civilization. I forget whether it was Werner von Braun or Einstein, somebody who said, I don't know how World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. And if there ever was a situation, that's it. AI powered nuclear weapons. Not a good thing, my friends. Not a good thing at all. Just something to keep an eye on. Crazy, crazy. Happy Day re-sound issue. Yeah. I know. We're working on it. Meanwhile, you should get off your butts and get yourself some Blackout coffee. Why? Well, 'tis the season. Whether you're going to buy that as a treat for yourself, maybe your own little Christmas present, you can wrap it up and then pretend to be surprised Christmas morning when you open it. Oh, look, Winter Wonderland flavored Blackout coffee. Or give it away to friends. This is a brilliant Christmas gift, folks. I promise you. Most of the people in our lives drink coffee, and a gift of a Blackout coffee bag of roasted beans, or even now they have ground in a lot of their most popular roasts. Brilliant Christmas present that will be remembered and enjoyed forever. Blackout coffee, using the link down there in our show notes. And by the way, in our show notes, I've simplified the links, so they're all just boom, 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 boom right there. Easy to find. Use that link. If you're a first-time customer, you get 20% off. They've always got great specials over there. Check the specials out for even bigger deals on discounts. Blackout Coffee, I've told you before, they're an American company. They grow the best premium beans working with local co-ops and American farmers. They only roast your beans after you place your order, and then they ship them out within 24 to 48 hours. Fresh on your doorstep. And like I said, if you haven't ordered in the past because you can't grind your own beans, they have ground now versions of a lot of their most popular blends, roasts at Blackout Coffee. John and the gang, fantastic group of folks. Pleasure to work with them, and we're so proud to have them as a partner on this show. It is what's in my Jay Sheldon Show coffee mug, and I drink this from morning to night, except I'll be honest with you, I use this mug on the show for the promotion, but during the day when I'm drinking just my regular morning coffee and stuff like that, I have this big, I drink a lot of coffee. Okay, there you go. Man, that's good. Full flavored, full bodied, never bitter Blackout coffee. Thanks, gang. Appreciate you being here. And please do support the show and support an American company, Blackout Coffee. Trump has shared an incredible update about our hero National Guardsman who was shot in that D.C. terror attack. The West Virginia National Guard member, Andrew Wolf, shot in the terrorist attack in Washington, D.C. just before Thanksgiving. Last night, Trump stepped on stage in Pennsylvania to just deliver a speech about the economy. And while he was speaking, he shared news with the crowd that he'd just spoken to Wolf's mom about her son's condition after he was nearly killed in that terrorist attack. In D.C., we had a tragic incident, this is Trump. As you know, with the two incredible people, Sarah and Andrew, Sarah passed away. Trump said she's looking at us from heaven, from above. And Andrew, the second one, who was also from West Virginia National Guard, incredible people. And his mother, named Monica, and Monica's the most positive person I've ever seen. And today I got a call that he got up from bed. Trump says, do you believe that? He got up. The crowd broke into a huge round of applause and cheers Trump also said Monica commented that the level of love and care her son has received in the hands of the staff, the military members who stopped by to check in with him. Sarah's parents said the same thing too. And news of Andrew getting up out of bed, truly a absolute miracle. The last update we had, which was from West Virginia Republican Governor Patrick Morrisey, who shared 8 days ago that Wolf had responded to a nurse who asked him a question, but he was still fighting for his life. Andrew remains in serious condition. We did get some positive news, and at one point, Morrissey said the most important message he wanted to convey from Andrew's parents was to keep the prayers coming. But he actually sat up in bed, and that is just absolutely fantastic. Fantastic news. Danny said, well, there's my anxiety for the week. Oh, talking about the nuclear story. Yeah, I know. That comment was about the AI nuclear war, not blackout coffee. But if you mix the two together, yeah, that anxiety hits hard. Well put. Well put. Oh, man. How much do you love Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida? I mean, seriously. It just doesn't get much better. And Florida's done it again. We had this announcement from Florida's Attorney General that they are suing WPATH, which has something to do with some transgender bullcrap, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the Endocrine Society. And what are they suing them for? Mutilating kids in the name of gender-affirming care. Morons. Here's the Attorney General in Florida.
This is Attorney General James Uffmeyer. Today I'm announcing that we are taking legal action against several powerful medical organizations. The World Professional Association for Transgender Health, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the Endocrine Society. We believe these organizations failed to disclose the risks, limits, and evidence when promoting so-called gender-affirming care for children. For years, these groups insisted the recommendations were settled science, but behind closed doors, they knew the evidence was weak. They knew the outcomes uncertain and the risks very real. Parents were not told the full story. In fact, some parents were told that if they didn't put their kids through permanent, life-altering sick procedures like double mastectomies and castration, that their child would commit suicide. Not only is that unethical and dangerous medicine, but it is against the law. Children were irrevocably harmed because truth was replaced with political activism. When organizations make medical claims, they have a duty to be honest. When they intentionally mislead families, their members, and the medical profession, we hold them accountable. Florida will always follow the evidence, protect children, and defend parents' rights to make informed decisions.
Go for it. Abso-freaking-lutely. I love to hear stories like this one. And it just gets better. Where is that page? Can we pull that up? Hello, sometime today, please. Dependents' reprehensible and immoral actions capitalize on the mental distress of children. That's what the lawsuit says. As you just saw, the Attorney General from Florida filed this suit against three of the most insidious organizations pushing the mutilation of our kids. The lawsuit brings a racketeering, influenced, and corruption organizations RICO Act case, as well as a consumer protection case based on the state's contention the organization knows that disseminating false information about gender transformation, all these procedures to kids and families, this disinformation campaign then led to children's genital mutilation, chemical castration, many other irreversible outcomes. For years, these moronic groups have insisted the recommendations were settled science. But behind closed doors, they knew the evidence was weak. They knew the outcomes were not certain and the risks absolutely real. Parents weren't told the full story. In fact, some parents were told if they didn't put their kids through these permanent, life-altering, sick-ass procedures like double mastectomies and castrations, their child would possibly commit suicide. Not only is that unethical and extremely dangerous, but as the Attorney General said, it's against the law, folks. Now, if this case is successful, it could be the beginning of accountability for an industry that's made so much money. And at the end of the day, you know that's what it is all about, the money. Physical, psychological destruction of children, all about the money. That's the bottom line. Hopefully, this would open the door for prison sentences for these predatory groomers, which is all they are, groomers. This case, filed in St. Lucie County, Florida, states the three organizations violated the state's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act and have been engaged in racketeering for deceiving patients, parents, insurance, regulators, and courts about how any of this garbage is reversible. It ain't. Good on you. Why is it so, no wonder it's so hot in the studio. Can you give me a second? I hope my headphone cord is long enough. Oh my God. It's like 1,000 degrees in here. I forgot to turn the fan on. Man. Okay. So Florida's going after him. Good on you. Go for it. Do it. Oh my. What else have we got? The good old New York Times. You gotta love them. The New York Times story that gets absolutely everything completely wrong about Democrats and immigration. Democrats did what they did with the border on purpose. We all know that. Come on, come on. Their only real regret, to be honest, is nobody liked it. It was hugely unpopular. Now, there is not a single reason to continue giving Democrats the benefit of the doubt on their destructive anti-American policies, least of all on immigration. And yet, the New York Times, just this week, did exactly that. In a ridiculously long article, Sunday, the Sunday Times, Christopher Flavel sought to recast the Biden era's catastrophe at the southern border as a matter of misjudgment and political failure rather than what it really was, deliberately harming this nation. How Biden ignored warnings and lost Americans. That's the headline. Faith in immigration. He asserts that Biden was repeatedly advised to get some kind of handle on the influx of destitute foreigners coming to America, although he never says exactly how or in what way he was advised. Also said Biden, as president, seemed to grasp the risk, but simply failed to ask. Are we talking about the same Joe Biden? Laughably, the day the Democrats can be trusted on immigration is the day they can identify a single illegal alien they're willing to deport. As of now, that total would be 0. They don't want to do that. It's not their position. Their position is exactly the opposite. It's why a sitting Democratic senator this year literally flew to Central America for the explicit purpose of re-importing a professional illegal alien who'd been sent back to his home country. And this idiot Democrat senator flew there to bring him back. Yeah, you elected this piece of crap. Flavel, the writer of the Times article, said Biden and his closest advisors repeatedly rebuffed recommendations that could have addressed the border crisis faster. And his admin made two crucial errors. I'm sorry, just two? You might want to look again. Now, here's the second alleged error. They failed to appreciate the political reaction to the migration, believing that stronger enforcement would alienate the Latino, or as they love to say on the left, Latinx, and progressive voters. And they also, a border surge would not be an important issue to most voters. Oh, how very wrong you were. Because Democrats are not capable of viewing minorities as individuals who are motivated by self-interest, but rather as just pack animals. That's how the Democrats see them, just group identity. They're pack animals. It's probably true they didn't anticipate migrants already living here not being too thrilled with yet more foreigners dumped in their schools, community centers, sucking up public resources. Throughout this story in the Times, they repeat over and over again that Biden was warned of oncoming political peril as it related to immigration, and his advisors were cautioning him on the border, apparently to create the impression that the issue was very complicated and dramatic for Democrats. It's not complicated, morons. Just shut the damn border. Duh. Trump did it, solved the problem. Now we just got to get rid of him. This article is an absolute joke. If you get a chance, read it. Online, you go to the Times. It's covered by a paywall, so you can't get through unless you want to pay. And I would probably not recommend giving any particular funding to the New York Times. You want to do that, fund this program, go buy some Blackout coffee or sign up with Patriot Mobile. Your money would go to a lot better places. Once again, if you're long in the tooth, if you're as old as I am, you may remember something about a project called the Montauk Project. It was or maybe is, the U.S. military's alleged mind control program. Oh, yeah. The Montauk Project just might be the mother lode of lesser known conspiracy theories. It's been out there forever. Time travel, teleportation, mind control, all a part of the story. Oh, it gets juicy. Contact with aliens, the staging of Apollo moon landings, all add this to this already incredibly unbelievable story. Yet even after all that, and the fact that it inspired a Netflix series called Stranger Things, very few people have actually ever heard of the Montauk Project. How is it that the Montauk Project, which purports the U.S. military turned a base on the far reaches of Long Island into a hub of illicit, chilling research into the paranormal, and it's been overlooked? Nobody has ever talked about it much. And those that have just been labeled as conspiracy theorists, nut job, kookballs. Military facilities have existed at Montauk since 1796. Montauk Lighthouse became operational. Personnel began looking out for British ships that might attack New York or Boston. The Naval Air Station, established more than a century later, during World War I, and the Army's Fort Hero, subsequently established there during World War II. The possibility, or rather the popularity, of Stranger Things, the Netflix show, which I watched I don't know, the first 3 or 4 seasons was brilliant. And then it got a little wonky, as they always do. Anyway, this popularity of this series has very firmly established perhaps the Montauk Project's time in the spotlight, and the exposing of this program and the strange things that happen there, it may finally be coming to light. Now, allegedly, and that's a big caps bold allegedly, this is a piece of footage from one of the, because children were involved in this Montauk Project, a lot of them, time travel, all kinds of mind reading, all kinds of god awful weird things. A very short little video, about 14 seconds long, recorded at 3:12 a.m. November 4th, 2001. That ain't that long ago, folks. Take a look at this. How about that? Scary toast. The Montauk Project. And that, by the way, isn't the only piece of video. Let me show you another very quick one. It's only about 6 seconds long. Same situation, same guy. Watch this one. Wow. What the hell? Again, you can. This is not AI. The Montauk Project. If you ever see a special about it, you got to see all the background. It's absolutely fascinating. Absolutely amazing. All right. Oh, did you say? How much do you love our vice president? Probably not enough. J.D. Vance has, in a very hilarious way, absolutely nuked a report about a fight with his wife. Vance on the odds-on favorite for the GOP nomination in 2028 at this point. According to the polls, nobody else is even close. Carlson, 3%. Is that Tucker Carlson? Rubio, 5%. Haley, 5%. DeSantis, 6%. Trump Jr., 8%. Vance, 51%. Holy crap. So it would figure the Democrats are, of course, already trying to find ways to take shots at him. Of course. But what's pretty low is that they were trying to suggest trouble in the marriage because his wife wasn't wearing her ring during a speech. His wife, Usha, dispensed with that in very short order, schooling them that she was a mother of 3 young children who does a lot of dishes, gives a lot of baths, and sometimes she forgets her ring. Former White House press secretary Jen Psaki also tried this narrative, suggesting that Usha needed to be saved from JD. And that effort crashed and burned. The problem they're having with Vance is that he's smart and he's funny. He blows their attacks straight out of the water like a Venezuelan drug boat. Ooh. And then he mocks them in the press. They were spreading this recycled rumor on Monday, alleging that Vance had a fight with his wife in a restaurant. Now, if ever a photo looked like a fake AI picture, this one certainly does. J.D. Natalie Whittingham Burrell, moron, posted this. J.D. and Usha allegedly spotted having a loud argument at a restaurant recently. Seriously, why would anybody believe this crap? I guess we've seen Democrats have believed a lot of things that weren't necessarily true. A lot of things As long as it fits in the narratives that being pushed, they're right there alongside it, pushing it. But Vance himself mocked the rumor into the ground and finished it off. Here was his response to that post. I always wear an undershirt when I go out in public to have a fight loudly with my wife. Look at this shot in full here. There you go. Oh man. It just keeps getting better and better. It was such a stupid effort that the way Vance replied was perfect. Oh yeah, I always wear an undershirt when I go out in public to have a fight loudly with my wife. Thank you, JD. I love this guy. I'll be voting for him. Absolutely. I don't think anything better is going to come along. You got my vote, JD. All right. If you have to call an ambulance, how much are you going to pay for it? And some places that have volunteer ambulance services, I don't think you pay. You can make a donation, but I don't believe that you pay. In California, if you need to call an ambulance, the cost now has risen, ready? 382%. 300, almost 400%. Illegals free health care. That's what's doing it. And what the hell is it with Gavin Newsom? Now, most people you're likely to encounter when everything they attempt goes wrong would probably stop and reconsider their basic assumptions. Not California's impeccably coiffed governor. Oh no. When his socialist policies failed, he always considers socialism harder. Because you can't force an outcome by believing in it really, really hard, right? Right? Case in point. Over the last few years, California under Gavin Newsom has generously funded health care for illegal aliens. Oh yeah, millions of them. Now, honest Californians can't afford an ambulance anymore. Part of the cost of an ambulance has shot up by almost 400%. You need another reason why Gavin Newsom can never be president? Speaking of J.D. Vance, there you go. Illegal immigrants, many receiving Medicaid through emergency services, is costing taxpayers in ambulance transportation. Since 2022, the cost of taxpayer-funded ambulances risen from $339 per transport. Wow. Oh wait, it's now $1,168 per transport in the Golden State. You'd need a bucket of gold to pay for an ambulance ride. That is insane. $1,168 for an ambulance ride. Jiminy crickets, are you kidding me? Wow. Danny on the JD story says he always looks like that, his serious face. And let's even say it was true, they had an argument. Show me a happily married couple who never fight. Love my guy to death, but we fight. That's true. Doesn't matter. We fight. It happens. You get over it, you get past it, you change your mind, or maybe you agree to disagree. But life goes on because you love them. You know exactly what you mean. All right. A couple more to go here. I know in this country we really could not possibly care much less about the World Cup. Let me tell you, though, in other parts of the World Cup, it's soccer, basically. We call it football here. In America, we call it soccer. The World Cup is all encompassing. It covers every bit of advertising. When the games are on, people stay up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning just to watch them because they're played in different parts of the world. Well, this is a little awkward. Two Muslim nations are going to be facing off in the World Cup Pride match. You cannot make this up, folks. Basically, do you remember as a kid being told, you get what you get, don't complain? Well, it's pretty unlikely the nations of Iran and Egypt will think of this as very much a treat or a prize. But thanks to a random draw, those two nations have been chosen to face off in what is called a pride match in next year's World Cup. The every 4-year global sporting spectacle, the U.S. is hosting it this time around, which is odd because honestly, we Americans really don't give a crap about soccer. Trust me, it's huge everywhere else. It isn't here. But whether or not the two nations actually complain or even show up to play, nobody knows. These are two Islamic countries that are going to be playing in what's called a pride match. Iran and Egypt landed in Group G, and as it turns out, the privilege of playing in the pride match being hosted in Seattle during that city's Pride Week. Oh, man. The game, which is scheduled for June 26, 2026, at Lumen Field, was planned way before this draw ever took place. So it was just dumb ass luck that two Muslim nations that don't exactly embrace being gay or transgender got selected to take part. The World Cup matches will take place in venues across the country. Seattle decided to take advantage of the situation, teamed up with area activists, and gave the matches in their city a decidedly rainbow-colored theme. From the FIFA Seattle website, with hundreds of thousands of visitors and billions of viewers worldwide, I told you this was big, this once-in-a-lifetime moment to showcase and celebrate LGBTQIALMNOPQRSTU communities in Washington while ensuring meaningful, lasting impacts for local businesses, arts, and organizations. Would that be before or after they throw the gay people off the roof of buildings? We're honored to host such a pride match, a spokesman said, and celebrate pride as part of a global football community. Now, this is not the first time the sport of soccer, or football to the rest of the world, has clashed headfirst into the pride controversy. Back in 2022, World Cup held in Qatar. Homosexual rights there are completely illegal, punishable by up to 3 years in prison just for being gay. Officials there clamped down on the One Love armbands being worn by some players, threatening them with yellow cards if they wore them out onto the pitch, onto the soccer field. Rainbow banners, other pride merch, completely banned and strictly forbidden. Seattle seems to very much welcome the Iranian and Egyptian teams. Eric Wall, member of the Seattle PMAC, maintains the match is a good thing because all are welcome to be themselves in Seattle. Yeah, you're about to find out real hard, folks. Enjoy that, Seattle. I really wonder if they will even show up. It would be a political nightmare, but I wouldn't be surprised if nobody showed. All right, how about this one? It is historically and religiously absolutely ridiculous to compare the Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, to illegal immigrants. And yet, one moron member, priest, a bishop, I don't know what the hell he is, has done exactly that. Oh, you won't believe this one. The Holy Family, fleeing from one Roman controlled region to another in the first century, is no way or shape or form a mandate on whether Americans have a right to enforce immigration laws. But that didn't stop them. Last week, a Catholic church in Massachusetts made headlines with their nativity scene posted out in front of the church. In this display, Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus have been replaced by an empty manger and an anti-ice poster. Now it seems like the church pastor is refusing to take down the display for now. St. Susanna, located in the Boston suburb of Dedham, displayed a nativity scene. I'll show you a picture in a minute. Outside the church with an empty manger and a sign that says, "Ice was here." The implication, of course, is that the baby savior was either apprehended or threatened by federal immigration agents, so they all ran away. The sign below the ice poster says, "The Holy Family is safe in the sanctuary of our church," followed by contact information for a group that monitors immigration operations in the state. Here is the actual nativity scene itself. You got all the usual animals and the wise men, but Mary, Joseph, and the baby, ice was here, gone. This is Father Stephen Josoma, who is the pastor, reportedly told Fox the church's Peace and Justice group puts together a display each year. They try to see what it would be like if Christ was born into the context of our world today. What would he be facing? The ultimate message is rather clear. Modern context, Jesus, his mother Mary, earthly father Joseph, would be considered migrants, a group of refugees crossing borders to be nabbed by law enforcement officers. Trump's illegal immigration crackdown. Dun, dun, dun. Now, if that rubs you the wrong way, you're the problem. At least according to this priest or minister, whoever he is. Father. Not my father. He told Fox if the display of religious art evokes a strong reaction, maybe it's good to take a look at that. Now, the Archdiocese of Boston condemned the display, which was reportedly put up without their permission. According to Fox, the Archdiocese Secretary for Communications and Public Affairs issued a statement calling for the display to be removed and the manger restored to its proper sacred purpose. The father says, "No, I ain't going to do it." Fine. Now, this is hardly the first time professing Christians have exploited this whole biblical narrative to essentially justify allowing millions of illegal aliens into the U.S. following a year of unbelievable leftist political violence, including against ICE agents, speaking out against this manipulative endeavor. It's never been more important. Mary and Joseph went to Bethlehem in accordance with the law to be counted as members of the Roman world, not to evade it or escape. Jesus was born in a stable not because the Holy Family was homeless or displaced, but because there was no guest room available for them during their census trip to the city of David. Now, the display at the St. Susanna Church very well could be a reference to how the Holy Family later fled from Bethlehem to Egypt, which happened up to 2 years after Christ was born. And in this case, Mary and Joseph were escaping an evil ruler who threatened their son. And even then, this analogy still don't work. The silliness continues. Here in Illinois, Danny says, forgot what city, but not far, had a baby Jesus zip-tied and Mary and Joseph cuffed. Something like that. I didn't pay attention because it made me sick. Exactly. I believe they had ICE agents dressed up and placed there too. Yeah, it's beyond the pale. However, we have to share the good news with the bad. We spend a lot of times talking about how the Somalis and the Islamist radicals are doing their best to try and destroy this country. But as I've said time and time again, they're not all crazy radicals. They're not all jihadists. This is a great story, and strangely enough, it comes out of Dearborn, Michigan. An Arab businessman in Dearborn, Michigan, Sam Hussein, is going crazy viral. You may have seen this story. After spending $10,000 to buy a 40-foot Christmas tree, after the city officials failed to get one in time for the holidays. Whether they couldn't afford it, they just forgot about it, they thought it wouldn't be politically correct to put up a Christmas tree. Well, this fellow, who is an Arab businessman in Dearborn, took 10 grand out of his own pocket and bought the town a 40-foot Christmas tree. If we're going to focus on the poor behavior, we got to acknowledge the good behavior, because it absolutely exists. There is this amazing businessman, and sorry, I gotta mute the sound because I'll get a copyright strike. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. How amazing is that? To watch that again. I love these tree movers. It's incredible. Look at that. They dig the hole, pop it in the ground, and you got yourself a Christmas tree. Fantastic. What a nice thing for this guy to do. He's an Arab, so there's about 1,000% chance he is Muslim. So what? Good stuff is good stuff, and that's good stuff. Thank you, sir. Nice job. All right, we're done. We're cooked. We're out of here. Thank you, folks. Thanks for popping by. Appreciate that. We will be back again tomorrow for the Thursday edition of our shoe. So thanks for popping around. Be sure and check out our sponsors, Patriot Mobile, Blackout Coffee. All those great guys are down there in the show notes. Make a purchase, help support the show. We really appreciate it. If you just want to support it for free, you can hit the follow button or subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and we appreciate that too. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow.